All right, good afternoon, Raven Nation. Welcome to another edition of Media Monday. He is Zach Emerson, head coach of the cross-country team. I'm Matt Janik. We're going to talk a little bit. We got a lot of ground to cover here. I guess so. Let's start off. Let's take a look briefly at both your teams. They were at NCAA Regionals this weekend. Let's start with the women. Best ever finish in program history. What did you see from the girls out there?
Well, we're on both sides, both on the men and women's side. We have very young squads. Basically in our top 7, we only had a senior on each side. So with our program on both sides, essentially we look at getting better every week, and we kind of have these moments where we check our fitness throughout the season, but it's mostly peaking for the final race of the year. Just knowing that if we had another race in 2 weeks, we think we'd do better than this week. And so on the ladies' side, they showed the steady improvement that you look for, especially with the young squad. I was incredibly happy with not avoiding leadership, but we had some very large presence on the team for the past 2 years that were the mother goose to all the gooselings or goslings, and so it was really interesting for us to see how that would pan out, and we had 2 sophomore ladies take over the reins without even batting an eye at it. Julia Comer and Rebecca Zilak, or Little Z as we call her. They just totally blossomed, not only athletically, but really got the team moving in the right direction to believe in the work we're doing. And I think it showed in the results. And again, we kind of finished the season, especially when you have a young squad where you just can't wait for the next one to start, because we know we're going to keep getting better. And so it's a fun time to be on the women's team, I think.
All right. On the men's side of things, jump up to 10K for the regional. 3 all-region selections in the top 25. What did you see from the guys out there?
So the guys, we didn't really know what to think when the season started. We lost basically our top 4 from last year, and so we had 4 straight years of finishing top 4 in the region, top 5 in the region. But we lost Dage Myers and Aiden Gilbride, who both made nationals last year. We lost Johnny Holmes and BJ Smith, who both competed at multiple national championships. So when you have those 4, it's not just a vacuum; it's almost a black hole at that point. In your program, and so it was really interesting to see. We brought in a couple of strong freshmen. And we again only had 1 senior on the team at the start of it in the top 7, and so it was kind of I hate to use the term rebuilding year, because I think every year is a rebuilding year because you're always trying to get better, and so we tried to keep the goals the same as what we'd always have, which is finish top 5 and have a fighting chance at a top 3 placing. Obviously, this would have been our toughest challenge yet, because we know how young we are and unproven. Stepping up to 10K is really tough, especially for a young team that you come from high school only running 5K. The ladies move from 5K to 6K, the men 5K to 10K is otherworldly for a lot of them. And so getting them to kind of wrap their head around the fact that, the way that we train, running is running. It doesn't matter what distance we're trying to race, doesn't matter what the venue is, whether it's outdoor track, indoor track, or cross country, we're trying to get better as endurance athletes. And you could see them struggle with that throughout the season, as young athletes typically do. But they pulled it together. We had a couple of standout performances, like you said, 3 all region. The one that comes to mind, though, is kind of a perfect model of our program, which is this, previously a no-name named Jason Reed, who now everybody in the conference in the region is just kind of like, hey, who's that Jason Reed guy?
Where did he come from?
Yeah, he finished 16th in the region as a sophomore, and last year he wasn't even in our top 12. A very underrated kid coming out of high school. But I keep telling everybody that you knew this kid was going to be good because he has red hair. Everybody knows redheads are phenomenal athletes in general. I can list a bunch of them, Scalabrini, and myself, of course. So Jason Reed finishing 16th is not a surprise from how hard he worked, as far as I'm concerned. And so we had a really good meet, but at the same time, we can't wait to get started again for next year.
Right. So you mentioned specifically there the jump to 10K specifically is a big hurdle to climb. What to you is the biggest piece of the puzzle for somebody adjusting, whether it's from high school or whether it's from the shorter meets during the year, to that longer meet at the final week of the season?
Yeah, I try to. We don't really talk about it too much, and I think that's kind of the key. A lot of people we fixate on just getting better and getting better by the end of the season, not really putting too much emphasis on the performance it would take to get to get the goals that we want. And so I don't really let them talk about it. We have a lot of we're a mid-distance heavy program, which are kids that in track would probably excel better in the 800 mile. So trying to get those kids to wrap their head around running for 30 to 35 minutes through mud and hills, it's difficult. And so I always use the phrase that I don't let you. Your running is not your running. Your running is our running as coaches. You do all the things. Be a good teammate. Pass all your classes. We have a pretty strict schedule that we abide by, especially community service every weekend, and we do things that should keep your mind occupied and not worry about, oh man, I have to run 6 miles through mud in 2 months. And so we try to keep their brain occupied from a lot of those insecurities, and really put the emphasis on every workout that we do every week. And so it doesn't always work. A lot of our kids will mention it probably on a daily basis that they don't think they're ready for a 10K. And then every single year I tell them, trust us. We always run our best at the end of the year, and it's difficult. It's a difficult transition for the men that I don't think the ladies have to have, but at the same time, the competitiveness from high school to college on the women's side is just is even more frightening than I think the distance on the men's side. To be a young woman in a Division II atmosphere, you basically, in order to make an impact, in the Northeast 10 Conference, you basically have to not only be a state champion, potential state record holder if you were still competing in high school. So they both have equal barriers to face when you're young in college, and I think this team just they pulled it together. I'm very, very proud of them.
To that end, talking to you over the course of the year, and this is probably related to how young both teams are, I get the impression that for you guys it was a bit of a roller coaster season. Yeah. Is that an accurate assessment?
Yeah.
So can you take us through some of the highs, some of the lows, and even more specifically, what you saw in growth from your team from day one to this past weekend?
Well, we this is probably I'm a fool to complain about stuff like this, but I've always said that we're just too nice, and the team got along great from the moment we started, but at the same time, there was just a certain fire, a certain chip on your shoulder that was kind of missing from this year's squad on both the men's and women's side that was kind of always there, and so a lot of the roller coasters, the ups and downs that we had, we just kind of attributed to that, and so we would go into some meets where physically we're prepared, but mentally we weren't. We have a bunch of kids on the team that love to win, but they need to learn to hate to lose even more than they love to win. Because that kind of fear of failure can really drive a runner at times.
Right.
And so we saw that sort of morph throughout the season. And some meets we win, and we weren't ready mentally, and we got punched right in the face. And to be able to take that and keep pushing through is just what this team kind of need to take their lumps. And so that can kind of go either way. That really tests, an athlete's character when you put in as much work as what we do for as long as we do, and 6 a.m. to literally we're out running repeats sometimes at 10:30 at night in the middle of, 40-degree and rain. When you do that type of work and you don't get the immediate rewards out of it, it tests your character, it tests your mettle. The ups and downs on the roller coaster ride that was 2017 was probably attributed to that. But I don't think those go anywhere. You just kind of learn from those, and you have faith in next year once you see those things to not only know that they're going to pay off, but then you kind of keep the fire lit under your teammates' butts to make sure they're doing the right things. This is a season we needed. We needed this season, both as athletes but as coaches, because it kind of just reaffirms that the kids that we get here, man, they're hungry. They need to learn a lot, but they want to work their butts off. 4 days like what we had on Saturday, I guess.
All right. Now, the ultimate question as you wrap up any season, we get in a DeLorean and we go back to August and talk to August Zach. after he gets over the fact that you don't have the beard anymore.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel weird.
and you tell him where you guys finished the year. Is he going to be happy with that?
Absolutely. I think it was what I hoped would happen. To be honest, top 5 for the men's side, and the ladies to be in the position with the young squad to finish top 10 in the region is by far what was our number one goal at the start of the year. And so there was a moment. Technology is awesome. But there was a moment at regionals where you run over a timing map and you get live splits. Yeah. And so they told us we can look on our phone, go to this website, and literally as a runner runs past the timing map, it pops up. So they have live scores. Then there was a moment where we climbed, on our men's side from, the first checkpoint, we were like in 7th, 8th, halfway through we were in 6th, but pretty far away from 3rd. And then with 2 kilometers to go, we were only 13 points out of 3rd. And here's this young team that wasn't supposed to be in the position to potentially qualify for nationals, only 13 points away with 2K to go. Now, of course, the 3rd place team at the time, very well coached team, running on passion, experience. Merrimack, they ran away from everybody. They got 3rd. They earned on that day, and I think the whole conference can be proud of the performance they put in. But to know that we were almost there, and if you told me that in August that we would be 2 kilometers from the finish and our men were 13 points away from qualifying, I'm happy, whether we made it or not. And so I know we'll use that moving forward, and we got just a team full of talent that once they turn to juniors and seniors are going to be pretty hard team to beat.
Awesome.
So looking forward to it.
Awesome. Now, like your runners, we've covered a lot of ground in a short time here. But before we let you go, we got to ask you what we ask everybody on Media Monday. Yeah, clever, right? Before we let you go, we need a fun fact about you. What don't many people know about Zach Emerson?
Oh, that don't many people know. Oh, man. I was going to say I drink between 10 and 12 coffees a day, but I think everybody knows that. We moved the coffee maker in the office to the main shared space, so everyone now knows my addiction. I think... the coffee addiction is definitely something that makes me different because,
I mean, it's not making you shake yet, so you might need a little more.
Yeah, I shake more when I don't drink the coffee now. And the kids always pick on me when they're on bus rides and stuff like that. I'll make everybody stop so I can run to go get a coffee because I want to take a nap. I need coffee to sleep now. That's how bad it is. So.
It seems like a personal problem.
Yeah.
But you know what? Whatever gets the job done.
I got 5 kids at home, so I need it, I guess.
He's Zach Emerson. This is Media Monday. Thanks for hanging out with us.